Hi, this is Andy XL back with another NFXL podcast, and it's time for part two of my Week 16 preview, looking at the two Saturday night games. First of all, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Washington Commanders. Now, a win in Washington on Saturday would see the Eagles retain their NFC East title and book their postseason place as they seek to defend their NFC Championship and Lombardi Trophy. The Commanders seek to build on their Week 15 win over the Giants with little else to play for this season. The 2025 version of the Eagles ranked 10th for defense, but just 20th for offense, and come up against the Commanders who ranked 21st for offense and a lowly 28th for defense, where they have particularly struggled against the pass. They are the 8th best team for opposing wide receivers to face and 3rd best for opposing tight ends to face, and they have not been good against running backs either on the ground or as receiving backs. A.J. Brown, for instance, had 193 yards and 2 touchdowns in the 2 games with the Commanders last season, so he likes to play against Washington for sure. All of which says the Eagles should have little trouble putting points on the board here. The same can't be said of the Commanders, who will come up against an Eagles D that's been 2nd toughest for opposing tight ends and 8th toughest on opposing wide receivers, but has not been great against running backs and rushing quarterbacks. So the Eagles likely to score well, but the Commanders relying on the ground game and Marcus Mariota's legs to get them downfield and to get them scores. This should result in a fairly easy win. Um, you know, on the ground for Washington, it's going to be Marcus Mariota, and looks like Chris Rodriguez might be back for this. So a combination of him and Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt. Whilst there'll be the fantasy picks for Washington. Whilst for Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, the aforementioned AJ Brown, and Dallas Goedert could be the ones to do the damage. But I see the Eagles winning this fairly comfortably by 30 points to 20. And then on to the biggest game of the night, really, which is a crunch game in the NFC North between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears in Chicago. The second game like I say, the second game on Saturday, it's a huge game for both teams. The winner will come out of Week 16 lying 2nd or 3rd in the NFC standings and top of the NFC North. The loser will be 7th in the NFC standings and watching the Lions game on Sunday with a worried look on their face. These two meet just two these two met just 2 weeks ago. The Packers winning that one 28 to 21. Injury news about wide receivers looks to be critical ahead of this game. The Bears' leading wide receiver, Roma Dunze, and the guy who came in for him in the last game, Luther Burden, who led the team in receiving in that game, are both out for this one. And for the Packers, Christian Watson, who had 89 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game from just 4 catches as the Packers' deep threat, is also questionable. So for the Bears, DJ Moore will certainly need to be the guy to deliver for them. Asking the likes of Olamide Zacchaeus and Devin DuVernay to step up might be a bit of a big ask. So DJ Moore's got to have a big game for them. I'll come back about Christian Watson later. Both teams have not been great against opposing wide receivers, though. The Bears, in particular, are the 5th best team for opposing wide receivers to face. Both teams have been average against opposing tight ends and running backs, with Green Bay having the edge in both regards. And notably, they're 6th toughest on opposing running backs, which, considering that's what the Bears like to do via DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, that's going to be key in this game. So all the edges are going in the Packers' favour, or are they? The Bears have won a lot of tight games this season and lead the league in getting interceptions. They have nine games this season with 2 or more defensive turnovers to their credit, and they won all 9 of those, meaning they have won just 1 game when they do not create multiple turnovers. So on the face of it, this is quite simple. If the Packers avoid turnovers, they win the game. So let's have a look at Jordan Love. He's thrown 6 picks this season, but has 3 in his last 2 games. So needs to stop that recent downslide in that area. And I'll come back to the wide receiver thing now. Who will provide the deep threat option that won the game 2 weeks ago if Christian Watson is out? Well, Matthew Golden and Bo Melton may be the ones who need to fill that void, but neither have Watson's size to go with their speed. So it could be Jaden Reed that's asked to step up as he's building back from injury. So without Watson, that could give the Bears the chance to get the picks they need to win here because the other receivers haven't got the size of Watson. So the Bears secondary may have more chance of picking passes off if Watson's out. Of course, the other big loss for the Packers is Micah Parsons, and that could diminish their pass rush considerably, allowing Caleb Williams more time to find his depleted receiver core. So, a bit of a muddled picture, but I think if sounds like Watson might play, and if he plays, I think this is going to be I would say the Packers win this 27-20 without Watson. I still think they get home, probably 24-20. So in fantasy picks, I'm going to go for Jordan Love because I think he'll use an array of receivers. But if Watson plays, he might have another good game. For Chicago, I still think Caleb Williams might do reasonably well, even with his depleted receiver core, and obviously DJ Moore as the sole really prime receiver for Chicago. So that's how I see tonight's two games. I'll come back with part 3 and part 4 because I'm splitting it into 4 parts this week because of the staggered nature of games on Sunday, where I look at the Sunday games. All right, enjoy tonight's games. See you soon.